Hey guys, this is episode 28 of the Skagit Storytellers podcast. Lisa Akers is my guest today. Her accent's amazing, and I think you'll love this episode. I'm going to keep the intro short because I actually work today. Today's Tuesday. I'm putting out my episodes every single Wednesday, so I'm just going to list some upcoming live music. On Friday, Zach Michaud's playing at the Lyman Tavern. Zach's always fun. And that's no cover, all ages. The Lyman Tavern has great food as well. Check out The Enthusiasts in Anacortes from 6 until 8 on Saturday. And that's this weekend. Next weekend in Anacortes is AmpFest. And there's several bands playing. Zach Michaud and The Enthusiasts are playing, as well as Turnkey Runner, Pretty Much Nothing, and a bunch of other bands. That's on Saturday, September 2nd from 6 until 8. I'll be there helping out in some aspect. And also, if you go to Anacortes, go early and go to Dad's Diner. Their Korean street toast is so good. I've been there twice and I've gotten it twice, and I don't think I'm going to order anything else when I go. So go to Dad's and say hi to Fletcher. What else? Oh, my radio show every Tuesday from 6 to 8. This Song Will Change Your Life. You can listen online, ksvu.org, or you can listen on your radio if you're upriver, 90.1 FM. My show's on Tuesdays, and I really like Jack and Jeremy's show, so I'll give them a shout out. It's called Nothing Set in Concrete, and that's on Thursdays from 6 until 8. Speaking of Thursday, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, the 23rd, the next day, Thursday, the 24th, is my last trivia night. We had to move it because of the heat last week, and then we had to move it again. So I hope you show up. It's going to be all about movies and music. Come on out. Let's pack the whole bar. That's it. I'm going to keep it short. Enjoy your day. And as always, go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
I go every weekend.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. Me and the kids go. We drive our bikes.
What do you find there?
A little bit of everything. What don't you find there? If you want plants, you can get plants. If you want typewriter business card holders, you can find those.
Well, and she's like, "Oh, I have more." And I said, I don't need more. I already have one at home. I don't. Plus, I have actual typewriters everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like two over there.
I love
and there's
it.
like 8 in there. And there's one in that box there. I need to go through all of them and change the ribbons, but...
Can you even buy a typewriter ribbon? Where do you buy that?
On Amazon.
What did I just buy on Amazon?
Yeah.
Something. Oh, we were looking. So I got an Atari. We've had this Atari that I got at a yard sale years ago, and it has like 50 games. This guy I bought it for like $5 at a garage sale. I want to have it to where for something to do and put it back by that little couch area in the back.
That would be amazing.
An Atari.
Yeah.
So we tried to hook it up yesterday. And, they're old. So hooking it up to a new TV, you need all these extra little cords and pieces.
Oh, yeah.
And cables or whatever. So I looked on Amazon. To find it. And I found something, but we have an old 80s TV. So I think that it'll work. Because an Atari and an old 80s TV, that's what they used.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We tried it and it didn't work because I think there's something wrong with the TV. So I'm not tech savvy at all. It's got hundreds and hundreds of games. Any game you can think of is on this little tiny little box. We bought it at a swap meet in Vegas. And it came with 2 controllers. It was something that some guy made.
Oh.
And he was selling them at this, not a swap, I'm trying to think of like a flea market type place.
Yeah, a step above a swap meet.
A step above, yeah, way classier.
Yeah.
So we had bought that, and so we're like, well, worst comes to worst, we can just hook that up and play an Atari game off of that. But I like the idea of having the actual Atari console and putting the little discs in, or cartridges, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And putting them in there. It would be so fun.
That would be cool. Yeah, we were just talking. I don't know how it came up yesterday, but maybe I saw a game or something, but I was saying it would be cool to have an arcade in the model.
I would love to do something like that in the model because I feel like we have the liquor store in the hub, which is catering to the adults. I would love to make the model some kind of arcade, even if we just use the front of it and put games in there or even just board games. And I was actually talking to Gretchen the other day because she had that idea of like during the school year, if kids needed help with their homework or something, and make it like a little community center.
Stop making me want to move to concrete.
I'm trying.
Is this your whole point of coming here?
Yes.
You're like, we're going to build a podcast studio and we're going to put...
Yep. I have lots of microphones that you can use and typewriters.
I hate you. No, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So, but the only... and that I would love to do that. And I mean, the only part would be how do we afford to do that? So I don't know. It's something to think about. And we also played with the idea of expanding the hub and doing the live music next door there.
Oh yeah.
And
would you put like a little entrance in
Yeah,
between, like
there
right
would-
down a wall?
yeah, there's all kinds of
Wait, are there tunnels underneath? Floyd could build some kind of passage. I believe in him.
Yes, I bet
He's
you
a
he
jack
could.
of all trades.
Yep. Just put him in there and say, build us a tunnel.
Yeah.
That would be quite the experience. I don't know what kind of liability.
You do have the back though. I mean, what are you guys doing in the back with all the grass?
So we're gonna put a beer garden in.
Cool.
That's been our goal this summer, but things happen and other things distract us from doing what we want to do. So we got the grass back there. That's a start.
Yeah, I saw that.
We got the walls power washed. That's another
cool.
start. So
Yeah.
we have to find a way to put a barrier or like a fence or something to block off so people aren't just like taking their beers down the alley.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's all part of having a beer garden. There's all these like rules and
Yeah.
what are they called? My mind's drawing a blank.
I don't
Just
know.
it's paperwork stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you have to have.
I'll cut this out so we sound smarter.
Thanks. So the model was the first building that we purchased.
Yeah.
And so our original idea.
Well, when you say we, you're talking about Jeremy.
And then getting to know next door, the hub, we got to know Eldon and everyone that was working in the hub and found out the hub was for sale. And that's what we.
So how long in between buying the model and buying the hub? How long was that?
I want to say like a year.
Oh, a
maybe.
year? Oh, wow.
It was a while because we bought the model and we were like, okay, well, we have it. It was COVID. There was nothing open anyway. So we had kind of some time to think about what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of were like, we'll just sit on it for a little bit and see what happens. And then once we bought the bar, that was when we were like, okay, we need to start doing, because right when we bought the bar was when things were starting to open back up.
Right.
And we were able to open, but we didn't open right away because there was some things that needed to be done, like maintenance wise. It needed a new roof and bathrooms. And so we got all that fixed. And we didn't want to have to deal with all the like COVID rules.
Yeah.
Because we're new to this, so we're like, we don't want to mess something up and do the wrong
have
thing.
To shut down
and
right
have
away.
to shut down, and we're going to break all the rules.
Yeah.
Not that the hub hasn't broken the rules before, but we were able to open right when everything started opening up. Like you didn't need masks anymore or anything like that. So it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
Really, time wise for us. It's so funny because I know you ask all your guests how we first met.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, she's going to ask me. And I'm like, I don't even really remember. I mean, I do. I remember you sitting at the hub with Dan when you were volunteering for the Baker Ultra.
Well, I got there on the Friday night, but you were gone
Yeah.
because you were at the concert. I won't tell them people which one. And then because we brought this up last week, you got mad at me.
No, I don't care.
Just kidding. It was New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
And then I think you were back the next night.
Yes.
So whatever night you were gone, I was there again the next day, and I was hanging out with Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I remember you were sitting at the bar, and Jeremy or Dan or one of them introduced me to you. And then after that, I don't remember what happened between then and us working together as bartenders.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweet, Liz is coming aboard. All right. Let's do it.
Yeah. Those were definitely my funnest nights.
Yeah.
Like looking back, like I don't know how we got through that.
I don't know. I just remember the picture of us, and you're like, you have like a a bottle opener and a can of Tabasco sauce. Like you're going to open the Tabasco with the bottle opener. And I had like a shaker. I was probably holding it the wrong way. Who knows? Like really experienced bartenders working here.
One of my favorite get-togethers I ever had was Canadian Thanksgiving. I think it was right before COVID. And I hired 2 teenagers. I used to teach them back in 4th grade. And I hired them to do the dishes and take pictures.
Nice.
It was amazing. I have so many great candid photos from that night, and I'm in them.
Uh-huh.
And then also, I didn't have to do the dishes.
That's amazing.
And they got some money. It was perfect. So
Yes.
next time you have a dinner party, hire a couple kids.
Yep. Yeah.
It's the best.
Right. And that's what
Just give them your phone and say, go crazy.
Yeah. I would love to be able to have somebody to do our social media for us, because Jeremy and I both, we were just talking about this earlier with somebody else. Our personal accounts, like we don't do anything with those, let alone now we're just not like getting used to doing that has been hard for us, because I'm like, I always overthink everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I say? I'm not going to post this. Oh no, that sounds dumb. And then I delete it, or I'm like, save for later. I think I just worry too much about, because it's like everyone can see it. Maybe one of our kids will take over that.
There you go.
I'm like, we have 2 teenagers that are on social media constantly. Yeah. Why don't they just do it?
Put them to work.
But then I'll be like, no, that's not what I wanted to say. Why'd you write it like that?
And I admit I'm probably part of the reason why you don't want to post, because Jeremy said this too. He's like, what, did I spell something wrong? You going to criticize me?
Yes. Yes, I try. I'm like, okay, I think a comma goes there. Somebody will let me know.
It's just the apostrophes that get me. I don't know what it is. It just drives me crazy.
It's okay. You know what? Sometimes I learn that way. That's how I learn. I post something wrong and I'm like, oh, there is more than one way to spell your. Which I know. That actually kind of bothers me when I see your spelled wrong. I'm like, I know.
Although I say that, and then in my ultra running coloring book, I have a spelling mistake, but I just think it's funny. I don't want to change it now.
Yeah, forget it.
It's the word hallucination. That's kind of funny.
Just tell them they're hallucinating.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
That's not spelled wrong. You're hallucinating.
Yeah. The party on Friday, how did that go? The street party.
It went very well.
Yeah.
I have a blister on my heel, which I just realized I have.
From walking around
From walking so much. I wore these little ankle socks with my with my shoes.
Yeah.
And my ankle sock kind of went down and went under my foot.
Yeah.
And I was so busy I didn't have time to like stop and fix it. So all night long I was walking around on this little lump of sock. And it forced my heel to have a blister.
Yeah.
And I think I wish I would have had a Fitbit on or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I ran back and forth, because outside, inside, and just back and forth. We sold so much food that night. But it went really well. It was a good turnout. The bands were great.
I was actually going to ask most about Colin and Noah.
Yeah.
How did they do? How did they feel about it?
They felt great. Noah had been practicing for I don't know, probably a month before this.
I love his confidence up there.
Yes, I know.
It's awesome.
That's great.
That's what I noticed immediately.
Yeah, and them even knowing that their type of music is not Concrete's cup of tea. Yeah. I mean, it was a bunch of like older folks and who were very supportive. I mean, Noah came out, telling everybody to throw their hands up in the air, and they were all putting their hands up in the air, and they were clapping for him, and you could tell by some of the looks on some of their faces that they were like, "What is this music?" But they were supportive, and that was great. And I love being able to have the opportunity to let them perform live, and even if it's 4 people, they're still out there. They're setting all their gear up. They're putting everything out there, and they're playing for people that they know they might not like this kind of music, or maybe they'll turn them on to a new kind of music. Who knows? But their confidence level to do that was awesome. Yeah. And Colin too, he same thing, to get up there in front of people. I mean, he's not the most people person, he avoids people at all costs. So like to get him out on, in the street to play in front of a bunch of people that he doesn't know, not in his age group. He knows they probably all like country and rock and roll, but he's playing his mixed, dub step, whatever it is called, electronic, experimental. I'm learning. Yeah.
He's rolling his eyes right now.
Yeah, he
Mom,
totally
get it-
is.
get
He's
it
going to
right,
go, Mom, we have no idea what you're talking about. But I love it. And, we're supportive.
Yeah.
He's so creative, and he does amazing things that I don't know what he's talking about half the time, when he explains it all to me, but we're supportive because he's doing something he loves. I would love to do an open mic night for teens.
Yes.
On like a Thursday in the summertime, or maybe even a Friday night, and do it until 9-10 o'clock, start it at 6, and say any teen that wants to come in and play, if you're in a band, it gives them a chance to play live in front of people and experience that, and it's such a good place to do something like that, because you might have 4 people, you might have a bunch of people,
and have a bunch of seasoned people there to like support them.
And I think it would be really great, and it would boost their confidence so much to do something like that. Who knows what would come of it? Yeah, that's definitely something I would like to actually do that before the summer ends.
Yeah,
why not?
Well, I mean, what do you need to
we have everything that I mean, they bring their own instruments, obviously.
You just need to say, we're doing it this week.
We need to post it on social media.
There you go. Have Colin make a flyer.
Yep.
Post it.
Yep. Yeah. Pick a date. We don't have anything going on, and just do it. Yeah.
My first trivia, I think one group came. The McAdams came. Mm-hmm. And they were the only ones who came specifically for trivia. And the other teams, I basically had to like arm wrestle them to like, come on, just take a sheet and pretend like you're playing. My point is, it grew from there. So maybe no one comes to the first open mic.
Right.
Is that how you started learning how to crochet?
Kind of.
Why did you start?
Mom and my grandma and my great grandma all crocheted and knitted.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yes. So my great grandma was like a master knitter. There was no patterns for her. Like, I mean, maybe there was a little bit. I don't know. But she just would whip up slippers and blankets and beautiful, beautiful stuff. You couldn't see seams. You couldn't see any flaws in it. It was all like perfectly stitched, beautiful stuff. And
do you still have stuff from her?
I do. I have some baby outfits that she made for me that I have in a box that I had all these intentions of throwing on Gwyneth when she was little, and
you didn't.
No, I didn't. Wrong season, wrong size, that kind of thing. But so my great grandma was mostly a knitter. My grandma was a knitter, and then she crocheted as well. And
what's the difference between knitting and crocheting?
So knitting, you have 2 needles. And they're like the pointy needles.
Yeah.
Crocheting, you just have 1 hook. It's called a hook.
Oh.
And it's like the way you're weaving the yarn. It's just different.
Oh, okay.
I find crocheting to be easier
Yeah.
because it's only one thing you're working with.
Yeah.
I can knit, but I can knit like a scarf and a washcloth. Like I can't do crazy like hats and stuff. Knitting.
Is crocheting like kind of looser? I'm thinking of like the product. Like, is it a bit?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the stitches can be looser. They can be, there's so many different size needles. So if you're using a smaller needle, you're going to have like a tighter stitch.
Yeah.
In both, I guess.
Yeah.
So I just find crochet to be easier because that was what I was taught first. So my grandma taught me how to crochet when I was a kid. And back in the 80s, like crocheting was kind of like, at least in my experience, it was like an old lady thing to do. So I was like, no, okay, yeah. Like she taught me one weekend, probably when I was at her house for the weekend, and to keep me busy or something.
Yeah, you're bored.
Yeah.
She taught you.
So she taught me how to like crochet a chain, and
Did you like it right away, or?
I did. I liked it, but it takes a lot of patience to learn that. So I didn't have the patience as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. I was like, can I just go out in the backyard and play, please? I just want to go ride my bike. But so she taught me that, and then I didn't pick a crochet hook or knitting needles up until after I got pregnant with my son.
Oh.
And I was like, kind of just bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was completely out of boredom. Like I was planning on being a stay-at-home mom. So, getting all that ready.
Were you guys in Detroit still?
Yes. Yeah. We were living in our first house just outside of Detroit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I bought a little book from Joann's, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pick back up crochet. And it's funny how it kind of came back to me all those years.
Yeah.
And so I was on the phone with my grandma, and I was like, I'm going to learn crochet again. I want to make cute, because this is right around the time Pinterest came out.
Oh, okay.
And I'm seeing all these amazing, cute, like modern, not old school, like 1970s things. It was like super cute, trendy stuff that were being crocheted and with patterns attached. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can make that. So that's where that all kind of came from. And I was over and sitting with my grandma, and she was showing me, you know, I'm like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And she's showing me again as, you know, I'm in my late 20s, and
Aww.
she was excited that I was picking it back up again, you know, and I had made a few things. I made a blanket that was way not square. It was like all weird, wonky. And she's like, no, you got the stitches right, but you know, you got to count your stitches and all these like boring crochet terms I'm not going to bore you with. But, so she kind of got me going with it. And then unfortunately she had passed kind of unexpectedly. And right before she passed away, like literally the night before, I had finished my first hat.
Oh.
And it was an owl hat, because it was all those cute little owl hats that were, you know, with the big eyes and everything. And I was so excited because that next day we were supposed to go to I think it was a renewal of vows party or something for my aunt and uncle. And I was going to take the hat and show it to her. But that night she had passed away. Aww. And I know I'm going to start crying.
No, I was going to say, you don't start crying, because I'll start crying.
But, so I never got to show her, but so when I crochet, I think of her.
Aww.
And I think of my great grandma, and I think of my mom, because my mom has crocheted and knitted too. So it kind of
Side note, I love your mom.
She loves you too.
She's awesome.
Yep. Yes, she is.
When she comes here to visit, does she crochet?
Yes.
Her downtime.
Yep. Sometimes we'll sit and do it together.
Aww.
You know, if we have the time. I mean, I don't have much time anymore to do it, but because it takes a long time to crochet something. And there's so many times where you want to make something and you'll have a pattern in front of you, but it's the way your stitch could be tight or loose. And it's kind of like, okay, I got to rip that out and do it again. Or you didn't count your stitches right. And so you got to rip it out and do it again. So sometimes it takes days to get something right. And a lot of people that, like, when you try to sell your stuff, they don't get how long it takes. So they're like, what? I can buy that at Walmart for, you know. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, Walmart stuff is being made on a machine more than likely. But yeah.
Do people say that, like, to your face when you're trying to sell stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally. I mean,
this is like $2 worth of yarn.
Yeah.
Why would I spend?
Exactly. Okay, well, why don't you go buy the pattern and do it yourself then? No, it's yeah, I mean, that's with any art, you know, any kind of skill that you have. If, you know, people think, oh, I can do that, or my kid could do that, and it's just kind of like, yeah, they probably could, but are they doing it?
Exactly.
You know?
I'm thinking about, like, you know, sometimes you see like the abstract art that looks like just like paint kind of thrown on it, or
like a
whatever.
Jackson Pollock.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
You probably could do that, but did you? And is it hanging up here for sale?
Exactly.
And,
Yes. Yeah. Art's interesting.
Yeah.
But so I would love to start a crochet shop in Concrete. That was kind of one of my goals. But like I said, it takes a long time to make things, and I just don't have the time. I wanted to open the knot hole and do something like that. And
not
eventually,
just sell your items, but also teach crocheting?
Yeah. I would love to do that. To kids, adults, whoever, that just takes a lot of time. That would take every day, all day. You know, to do something like that. And I had these grand plans. Yeah. Because the knot hole is such a cute little building. It's so cool, and it'd be perfect for something like that. And to have other artists, you know, have their stuff in there as well. But between the hub and the liquor store and our little Airbnb, we're getting going and having children and having a house. Like, it's impossible. There's not enough time in the day. Yeah. So I need to talk to whoever you're talking to and find out how you get like an extra day added on to your day.
I can't
like,
tell you on
do all these things. What the heck?
Well, actually, it's funny because when I gave a talk at Rotary on Friday morning about just like, you know, choosing like really hard things to do and having high goals and all this stuff, and the radio show and the podcast and just like follow your heart type thing. And as I was about to leave, I just kept hearing like things that I've heard before of, how do you do it all, you know? And as I'm walking around all the piles of stuff in my house, I thought, you know what? I'm going to show them. So I took a picture of my 3 weeks worth of laundry in my room. I took a picture of the kitchen table, which was completely covered. Something else, I think the back of my car. And I was going to add it to the slideshow and be like, I don't.
Yes.
I just...
Yeah, you have to let something go. Something
You
has
spend
to give.
maybe 2 hours a day cleaning your house. I don't do that.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
I
Something
mean, I don't
has
have
to
ants
give.
or anything, but yeah, it's not a, ready to show
Yep.
To a realtor.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I could go on. There's a whole list I have actually on my counter for Jeremy to do. When he goes home.
In Snohomish. That's awesome.
Yeah, come on. You have to do all these things, but you just can't. You can't do it all. You just pick and choose what you do.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I don't know.
You're doing what you love.
I feel like the universe is telling us both that we need to move to concrete, Lisa.
I know.
So I love the fact that, yes, I'm older than you, but only by a few months.
Yes.
So I'm February 2nd, 1980.
Okay.
And you're September...
I'm September 17th, 1980.
And Jeremy is...
September 15th, 1980. My family grew up in a town just outside of Detroit, and his family grew up in a different town just outside of Detroit. My family moved to the town that he lived in.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't know each other at all. Him and I personally, we weren't even born yet. So, I'm trying to think of how do I start this. When we moved to Roseville, the town that we grew up in, we went to the same junior high, and we kind of knew each other and kind of talked a little bit, went to the same high school, knew each other, knew our birthdays were close, 2 days apart. Oh, cool. We're both Virgos, blah, 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 whatever. And then about 5 years after high school, we were at a party, and we just were talking and, let's start hanging out more, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, we started dating shortly after that. And we were driving in the car down Gratiot Avenue in Roseville. And we were talking about our birthdays because it was probably coming up to our birthdays. And I'm like, it's so crazy. Our birthdays are only 2 days apart. And I asked him what hospital he was born at. And he's like, Holy Cross Hospital. And I was like, shut up. Because this hospital is no longer in Detroit. It's not there anymore. And I'd never met anybody else born at this hospital.
Oh, wow.
Because there's like two big hospitals. There's Beaumont and like Providence. I think it's Providence. I'm getting Michigan and Washington mixed up now. But there's two main hospitals. And I'm like, oh, everybody's always born at Beaumont, Troy Beaumont, Royal Oak Beaumont or something. I'm like, I've never met anybody born at Holy Cross. So then we're like talking about it. And I'm like, we were probably there as babies, both born in the same year, 2 days apart. We had to have been in the hospital at the same time.
Which that would be crazy enough.
Right.
Just that.
Yeah. So I'm like, no way. So he's like, well, maybe that's not the hospital I was born at. I don't know. I don't remember. So we get my mom's on the phone, or we were at my house. And so I'm talking to my mom about it, and he calls his mom, and my mom was like, well, I had to do a couple extra days in the hospital because she had like a cyst on her tailbone that she needed to recover from that. So they put her in a room with another woman that had a cesarean section. And she's like, yeah, this woman, she was hilarious. And we were joking. We were up all night laughing, and the nurses had to come in and tell us to be quiet. And she was so funny. And I said,
that's so sweet.
And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to see if that was Jeremy's mom. Like, what are the chances? Let's just get her on the phone. So they get on the phone together, and my mom and his mom was like, yeah, I remember the woman that I was rooming with had this big brown afro, like curly hair. And she was completely describing my mom. Yeah. And I'm going, oh my gosh, no way. And I'm like, I need to see proof. There's no way that there's no way that we were born at this, we were in the same hospital. Okay, that's a coincidence enough. But if our moms roomed together,
oh my gosh,
that would be crazy. So his mom's like, well, I still have the little card that was in the bassinets. And my mom's like, I think I do too. So we go grab my baby book, and his mom finds the card, and sure enough, like they were seeing the same doctor all this time. So my mom was driving from the town that we lived in to the town that his mom lived in, and they were seeing the same doctor. And on the little cards it says baby Akers, which was Jeremy, the room number, bed 1, and then on my card it says baby Covey, which is my maiden name, same room number, bed 2. I'm like, oh my God. And then the more that our moms talk about it, they remember things about, like my mom's like, oh yeah, now I remember his dad walking in and he had these like piercing blue eyes they're just like Jeremy's. And she's like, I remember that about him. And so it's just crazy.
Wow.
Like, yeah, we were born, our mom's roomed together in the hospital. And that was so back in the 80s where that was normal. You know, you didn't get a whole room to yourself. You had to room with somebody else. And because of their situations that they had, it was like, it just happened. I know. It's so crazy.
That's so cool.
I get goosebumps even still. I've told the story a million times. And I still get goosebumps thinking about it because it's like, and then you get the people like, oh, are you sure you guys aren't related? It's like, we're definitely not related. I mean, by marriage, but you know, like we're not brother and sister. It's 2 different parents. It's not, it's just a kind of one of those cool stories that, it makes you feel like, I think I'm meant to be with this person.
Yeah.
I really think that the universe is trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
And on the adventures that he's taken me on, and I'm still here, the universe is doing something.
What's like one place he's taken you that you were like, that's it, this is the end?
Concrete. And then, so we started going climbing at a gym in Michigan in Ann Arbor. And the first time I went up the wall, it just felt so unnatural to me to be on a vertical slope of and just being suspended by a harness, and I didn't trust it. I was like, no. But the more I did it, I'm like, okay, each time I'll go up a little bit higher. And then the first time I made it to the top, and I think they had a bell that you rang or something, and I like went ding and it rang. I was like, I did it.
That's awesome.
I felt so, and I normally would never do something like that if it wasn't for him introducing that to me. And he's done that with many things. I mean, traveling, flying, everything. I'm terrified of flying. I hate heights. And with him flying so much with work, I got the opportunity to go places with him sometimes. And the more I flew, the easier it got. And, it just takes me on. And half the time I'm complaining about it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Why are we doing this? But in the long run, and even like with all the stuff in concrete, at first I was no. Why would we buy a bar? This is we don't know anything about owning a bar. Okay, your dad owned a bar, but like we didn't get to experience like he did.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with it because I never want to tell anybody, regardless of who they are, to not do something that they're that they like. I don't want to crush anybody's dreams. Especially my husband's, you know, and I would hope that he would do the same thing for me, which I know he would. Yeah. But he was working for elevators for so long, and I could tell he was getting burnt out. He just was like not loving it like he used to. Yeah. And he needed to do something else. So I was like, I wasn't sure what that something else was going to be. Didn't think it was going to be a bar in concrete, but I'm like, why? What are we going to do with it? We don't live in concrete. Like, how are we going to work on that? And, but he's so optimistic about things, and he likes to,
that's why we get along.
Yes. Yeah. Very.
Nothing's going to go wrong. Let's just do it.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. This is all wrong.
That's what CJ says. Here's 5 reasons why it's not going to work. Yes. Were you how were you as a teenager?
I'm not allowed to tell you that on a podcast.
What? You think your mom's going to listen to this? Yeah. She totally will.
Oh, man.
Wait, so you have a brother?
I do.
Wait, is that the one that looks like Jeremy?
People think he does, but he's okay.
I saw a family photo, and I remember thinking, "Oh, is that Jeremy's brother?" But it was your brother.
Yeah. So Jeremy has a brother.
And he has a brother. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a brother that him and my brother share like the same feet. They both have brown eyes, brown hair. They're the same age, probably the same build, so they kind of look like each other. Which makes that whole story about him and I not being related not sound true.
So your brother's older than you?
No, he's younger than me.
Okay.
He's 3 years younger than me.
Yeah. So who was the worst teenager, you or him?
Me by far.
Really?
Yes. Which Because I was the oldest. So
I thought the oldest were supposed to be like the good ones.
Well, not in my case. No, I mean, I was not a bad kid.
Yeah.
I was a typical bratty teenager. I was
like, you broke curfew.
Yeah, I defied I didn't, my parents probably didn't like the crowd I was hanging out with, so they wouldn't let me hang out with them, and I did everything I could. Yeah, I did everything I could to hang out with them.
Don't ruin my life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't go over there anymore. Well, watch me.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And
that's usual.
Yeah, and just not wanting to listen to their rules, which they didn't even have. Like, I had a really easy, childhood.
I was going to say, I kind of know your parents a bit. And
yeah,
I feel like they weren't super strict.
They didn't have strict rules. They were like, just, I don't care if you don't do your homework, just pass your class. You know what I mean? Like, they were just like...
Yeah. One of my favorite categories I had at trivia was get to know your bartenders. And first week I did me and Jeremy. So then I would list 5 facts about us each, and people had to guess.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, like who stole a car at 16 and who stole a car at 27, because I was 27 and Jeremy was 16. And you versus Smash. And there was one that said got kicked out of a Las Vegas hotel room.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, everyone is probably going to think Smash, but it was you.
Yeah.
And then your mom was there.
Yeah, she's like, what?
She was at the trivia.
When did this happen? Oh my gosh. And it was such
you should tell that story.
It was just, it was kind of like innocent childhood teenage behavior. It wasn't really the room, it was the whole hotel. So, and I went to Vegas with a friend of mine.
How old were you?
I think we were 14 or 15. We were pretty young.
Oh,
I went with her family. No, I went with her family. They went to Vegas. And when I look back now, I'm like, we were so young, just strolling along the strip, just hanging out, us two 14-year-olds.
In the mid-90s, that's what you did.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We were, in our mind, we were super mature. So
14.
I know, so her parents would go and gamble or whatever during the day, and her and I would just walk around, and we'd go walk to all the hotels and check out all the hotels and everything, and and so we were in the Excalibur. I think that's the one that looks like a castle, right? I think
so, yeah.
And we were having the funnest time in one of those photo booths that you go and take your picture in. I think we took 1 million, we just kept putting money in, oh, what kind of faces can we do now? And just being stupid and just dumb, Yeah. And she's a fun girl. So I remember we had gotten water bottles or something from the hotel, and we filled them up and we were drinking our water, and then all of a sudden she squirted at me in the lobby. And I was squirt it back at her. And so we were having this water fight in the middle of the Excalibur lounge or whatever.
That's where you got kicked out?
Yeah. And one of the I don't know who he was, the security, he came over and he asked if we were staying in the hotel, and we probably lied and said, yeah, I don't know. You always think you have to, first instinct is to lie, no matter what. So we're yeah. And he's well, or I don't remember what we said, but he kicked us out. He was get out of here and don't come back, because we were messing. I mean, there was probably water everywhere. We probably squirt some random stranger in the midst of this thing, and they probably complained about us, or somebody was who are these 2 girls that don't have any adult supervision,
Yeah.
We kind of got married twice. So because I had got pregnant first.
Okay.
And then we were at
the courthouse then, or?
Yeah. So we were we kind of can't afford to have a baby, right now.
Or a wedding.
Yeah, or anything.
Yeah.
So Jeremy was working for Tisson at the time, and he's you need to be on my insurance so we can have this baby and it's not coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And I was yeah, smart. So we went and got married at the courthouse real quick.
Yeah.
And I was we're not going to tell anybody. And some people might not even know this. So if they're listening, they're going to learn something new. So yeah, we went to the courthouse and got married, and I felt so it was the wrong thing to do. I felt the only reason, I didn't want people to think the only reason that we were getting married is because I was pregnant. I think I had told my parents though that we were going to do it.
Your
or
mom
I told
will
them,
let us know if.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember if I told them that we were going to do it or if I told them after we did it.
Okay.
But I knew I was going to tell my parents. I tell my parents everything.
Yeah.
They know everything instantly.
Yeah.
I don't hide anything anymore.
After I took that picture of you in the kitchen with Jeremy the other night, I sent it to your mom. I was like, I just feel like she needs to see this.
She does. Yeah. And she probably loved it. Yeah. So yeah, we did that.
How far in between?
I think it was a year because Colin was.
Oh, so he was at your wedding.
Yeah, Colin was at our wedding. He was our little groomsman ring bearer guy.
Aw, cute.
Yeah, he was. And I wanted to give it time. You know, I didn't want to be pregnant and have the big wedding because I knew it was going to be a big party, and I was like, I want to be able to have fun. So selfishly, you know, and plus, you know, our house, we were working on our house. We were remodeling it.
Yeah.
We were actually living with my parents for about 6 months after I had Colin.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a lot of stuff we wanted to do
to
our house and all that. So,
well, it's your life. Like, who cares?
And right, exactly.
The rules are fake.
And I wanted to have a nice wedding. Like
Yeah.
I wanted it to be planned out, and I wanted it, you know, I knew I wanted it to be at home because we had these humongous backyards, and actually Jeremy's dad lived on one side of us, and his brother and our sister-in-law lived on the other side of us.
Oh, cool.
And our yards didn't have fences or anything, so we had all this, and our yards were big. It was like, I think they were all like a half acre.
That's awesome.
Maybe. So they were big, and so we had the space to do it. And it was all flat. There was no hills or anything. So we're like, let's just get married in the backyard. You know, neither of us wanted a traditional wedding, you know, at a hall. And
yeah,
neither of us are super like religious. And our families, you know, were like, they didn't care. They were like, do it however you want to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, so about a year later, Colin was 16 or 18 months old.
Yeah.
We did do a ceremony, and we had our neighbor who had gotten he like was ordained on online. Yeah. He like the day before, he's like, yeah, got it. All right, we're good. It's legit.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
We had a ceremony and did the whole walk down the aisle, short and sweet ceremony. I mean, it was like super short.
Yeah.
And we had hired a guy to play the guitar, and he played like this cool acoustic music, and it was really cool. And our food was amazing. We got this guy he actually dug a hole in our backyard and did these like rotisserie chickens.
What?
Like whole chickens over this hole in the ground.
Crazy.
Like where our fire pit was. We're like, yeah, just dig it there. Do whatever you have to do. Dig it wherever you need to.
That's cool.
And the food was amazing. And I do remember the food took a little longer. We had a lot of guests. There was like 300 people almost at our wedding.
Wow.
And we just invited we're like, this is going to be a party. Let's invite everybody.
I think it boils down to just community in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so community in your house with your 10 children, or, you know, community with your community in your town, and different groups you're a part of. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I like our little concrete community.
Yeah,
awesome.
It is. It's a great community. I'm glad we landed here.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So the gift shop, hopefully at some point soon, / lessons and crocheting and all that.
I mean, it might be something before that. You know, we might end up renting it to somebody or something before that. But, you know, eventually something like that. But as for right now, we're going to have local artists have their stuff in the liquor store. So we're working on that. So like my stuff will be in there. We have Primal Designs is in there right now, and I think that's it. Colin has his little record store in there.
Yeah.
So it's
and Gretchen's book,
Olive's book. Yes. We have local authors in there.
Yeah.
So we'd like to build that up more. I mean, there's a lot of space in that store. It's just trying to figure out how to flow, like how the customers traffic through all that space, because a lot of people think, oh, I can't go in the back.
Oh yeah, I got them multiple times a day when I worked there.
Yeah,
I'm like, you can go back there,
right?
Like, oh, can I get a soda? I'm like,
I know,
go for it.
Go get it yourself.
I'm busy editing a podcast right now.
We didn't want to have to knock out walls or anything, and the little space right now for Colin's record store is really it's cute. You know, it's like working out for him. It's a perfect little spot for him to start doing that.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe eventually the knothole will be the record store. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you never thought you'd get here.
No. I never thought I'd be on a podcast or have a friend that's a podcaster.
By the way, did you see that hanging up?
I did.
So awesome.
I did.
Okay, so where's the stick from again?
The stick is from a beach in Lake Superior.
Okay.
And the flowers are from Banff.
Aww.
They're wildflowers. We stopped off on the side of the road. I think somebody had to pee. I promise there's no pee on those flowers. Yeah, and we just picked them because we thought they were cool.
Cute.
And they just dried out on my dashboard.
Oh my gosh. During the Bare
there.
Naked Ladies song?
Yeah.
The terrible one?
They were sitting there. They were there. The terrible Bare
What
Naked
song
Ladies.
was that again? Goose or Geese?
Here Comes the Geese or something. Oh my gosh. That was hilarious. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's Bare Naked Ladies. Well, I know Bare Naked. I mean, they're not my favorite either, but I don't mind them. And that song, what did you say which one it was?
If I Had $1 Million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was probably the most. Like I'm like, that song's not bad, and the Apartment song too.
Old Apartment.
That
yeah.
one I actually like.
I like that one too. Yeah.
That one
Yeah.
kind of hits home a little bit because I was living in my apartment at the time.
Oh.
And like I had just moved out, and it was this drama stuff that was happening, and I was like, your first place, like not living at home, you're gonna remember that place forever. So that song is kind of like, it reminds me of my first time I've ever lived by myself, or with somebody else other than my parents. So
yeah. How long did you live there for?
A year.
And what happened? Can you get the G-rated version?
Yeah. No, it was
Pretend
just
like we're on the radio.
I lived there with a guy. I moved out with a guy, and it was just like my first love. He was like this guy, and he was not from the town that I grew up in. He was a couple years older than me, and he was in a band, and I just fell instantly in love with him because he had this edge to him, and so yeah, I lived with him for a year. And
was it his apartment you moved into?
No, we moved in together.
Okay.
We kind of did it together.
Yeah.
And because we were in love.
Yeah.
And we were going to get married and all these things.
Of course.
So we're like, let's move in together. And we just wanted to be with each other all the time.
Yeah.
But then turns out dating a guy in a band is not it's like, okay, maybe not for me.
What?
No.
What do you mean?
No, I know. Rock stars? They're not very faithful. No. It just wasn't the time for either one of us. I was just learning so much about myself. And
How old were you?
18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it was kind of against my parents. I mean, I was 18, so I was an adult. So I was like, I can do whatever I want. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about dating. I learned a lot about living on my own. I learned a lot about paying bills and making money and having enough money. And so it just turned out in the end, he didn't want to work.
Yeah.
He
wanted to be a rock star.
He just wanted to be a rock star. And he was trying to live off his gig money, which was like $100 a month. So I was like working my butt off to pay the bills and make the rent and everything. And he just didn't care. I just seemed like he didn't care. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But and then I moved back home, and my parents welcomed me with open arms. Aww. They always have. They always said.
I feel like I could move in with them, and they would be okay.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
anybody could. Yeah, and everybody has. Like everybody's lived with my parents.
Have they really taken people in?
Not strangers, but family for sure.
Aww.
My brother was. We both were welcome anytime. Yeah. My brother and I, like now, if I had to, they'd be like, yes, come move in with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I've had an uncle that's lived with us, a cousin that's lived with, they're just very, they want to help people, and it's family, that's what you do for family. You help them out. And they've always helped us, even with our first house. They came, and my mom and dad were helping us gut walls and putting up fences and painting, and they're just very helpful people.
When I think of your mom, the first image that comes to mind is her sweeping the hub at like 12:30 on a Saturday.
Yes.
Like just...
Yep. Yeah. Wanting to help.
Yep. I'm trying to picture what your dad's doing.
Sitting at the bar drinking Budweiser.
I think he was thinking about... was it Rainier? Oh, no, your mom drank Rainier. No, your dad.
Probably my dad. We've turned him on to Rainier.
I think
he's a Budweiser guy.
If something was out, then they would switch.
We probably ran out of Budweiser, so we turned him over to Rainier. We're like, this is close. Here you go.
Because, they were there a lot last summer.
Yeah.
How long were they here for? A few weeks, right?
A couple weeks. Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's weird that they're not here right now.
I know. I hate it. I wish they were.
Could you imagine Jeremy retired? I can't.
I don't think that'll ever happen. No. There's always going to be something. Or if it is, it's going to be, okay, we're going here, we're going there, we're going here. Yeah. It'll never be like let's just sit home and watch movies, which is great because I don't really want to do that. Yeah. That sounds amazing right now to me because we're so busy. I just want to sit and watch movies. But I think if I did it longer than a month, I would get really bored.
No, I'm like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I need,
Yeah.
I love to travel.
Yeah.
You know, and I love to see things, and
There's always negative connotations when you're getting older.
yeah.
Especially with women.
Yeah.
And it was nice to hear just that kind of positivity. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then I forget what the book was called, but there was a book, I think what was it called? It Gets Better. But it was basically like how amazing your life gets, except physically. It's the
Yes.
only thing that gets worse, but everything else is amazing. And this couple went on a tourist bus, like in New Zealand, and a bunch of 20-year-olds were on it. And they were saying it was stressful because people are telling them, these are the best years of your life. And they're like, these are the best years?
Mhm.
I'm anxious. I'm stressed. I'm broke. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yep.
How are these the best years?
Yeah.
And so their whole book was about like, no, those are crappy years. Like,
Yeah.
it gets
Those are the-
way, 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 way better.
It does.
Physically,
yeah.
no, but everything else
Well,
is
mentally, yeah.
amazing.
And you're right. Like, because I've noticed myself over the years, I don't know exactly what age it started, but like just not caring as much as
Yeah.
what people think.
Yeah.
That definitely goes away with age.
So I
You
guess
just
you're
don't care.
you're caring about different things.
Yeah.
Like the things that matter.
Right. Yeah.
Not what someone else thinks
Yeah.
of you for wearing a certain thing.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean, I have my days where I'm like, "Ugh, I can't wear this. It looks like crap. but
Yeah.
you know, I just
Yeah.
and just enjoy. I've learned to say no more. I was always a
Oh,
yes
yeah.
person.
Boundaries. Yeah,
Yes,
me too.
boundaries. I'm learning big time. Like if
And
I don't
not-
want to do it, I'm not going to do it. You
Yeah.
know, or and that's not always the case, but for the most part, I'm learning to say no more.
And also too, like I'm getting better at not feeling like I need to explain myself all the time.
yeah.
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 Like no.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, just no.
I don't need to tell
don't
you
have to
why.
explain why. I know, and I've struggled with that because I feel like I always have to have a reason. Like,
Yeah.
I always think, you know, oh, so and so is going to be so mad at me if I don't do this, and
Yeah.
when really they don't care.
Yeah.
They just want an answer, yes or no. Like,
Yeah.
they don't care if
Yeah.
what my reasoning is.
Especially if they're over 40.
Exactly.
They're like, don't waste my time.
Exactly.
Just tell me yes or no so I can ask someone
yeah,
else.
yeah. Just let me know. Everything will be great.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of time, I think Zach's coming up.
Okay.
So, Zach's here?
Oh,
Okay.
perfect
All right.
timing.
Perfect timing. Hey,
All
Olive,
right.
say hi to Lisa.
Hi. I already did. I already told her I want her shirt.
I know. That's my shirt. That was my shirt I wore at the liquor store. I'm like, this is my new staff shirt.
I need that thing. Man.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, Lisa.
Thank you for
This was
having
fun.
me.